Welcome, everybody, to the very first AlliedUP cooperative um, live broadcast. We are going to be featuring Futuro Health graduates to talk about their career, their journeys, where they are, how they got to where they are, how they got started. And I am so excited. Hello, Terry. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Hello, Jonathan. I know that you're in the background. Thank you for joining. We're going to have several people. We've got several in the waiting room. So while I'll continue to let people in, but we're going to get started. I'd like to welcome Anginette to our very first live broadcast. This is our career management workshops and segment. So Anginette, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to tell you all why I asked Anginette to kick us off on this journey. Anginette, you want to give everybody a little bit of your background?
Yes, my name is Anginette Morgan. I am a certified nursing assistant at Cedars-Sinai. I am an education ambassador, a union steward, and a phlebotomist.
Wow. You've been busy. How long have you been a CNA?
I've been a CNA for over 25 years. As a matter of fact, I just want to say I got my CNA certificate in high school years
Wow.
ago in
Wow.
1978. Yeah, I did.
Great.
And I just kept it going.
So one of the reasons that I asked Anginette to kick off this series on career management is because everybody thinks that a successful career means that you have to grow and grow and grow in this corporate chain. You do not need to do that. If you love being a CNA, if you love being a medical assistant,
because everyone
you
else
can
does.
you can maintain that. I'm going to go ahead and mute all except Anginette. We're going to Anginette, you're going to need to unmute yourself. Okay. So you can be the best CNA that there is. You don't need to be the manager of all CNAs. You don't need to be a lead MA. And that is what I wanted to introduce Anginette to you, because she has made a lifelong career as a CNA. And later in her career, she added phlebotomy onto it. So we're going to talk to her about what she thinks that career track, why she's successful in it, and how she has managed her career over that 25-year period. So let's get started. Anginette, tell us, what are the three things that you believe are really critical to your long-term happiness in your career?
One of the three things that my happiness. I stay involved. I'm in a union. I got into a union where I have a voice. I am respected, and I stay curious. And my advice to anyone that's getting into healthcare is to be curious and remember that education never stops. There's always something new evolving in healthcare. Sciences is always advancing every day. I want to say for you guys to get into a facility that has a union and learn the union difference, become a union steward and an education ambassador. Be encouraged and tell your friends and family about these great scholarship, tuition free healthcare opportunities that are available through Futuro Health and AlliedUP. And I feel that everyone has more than one career inside of them. And whether you're young or old, it is never too late to reinvent yourself.
And so you've spent 25 years. So let's talk about that. You really are living that reinventing yourself right now in this stage of your career. Why now, Anginette?
I feel that I still have more to offer. I want to say like parts of my body from being being a CNA for so many years and not doing everything right the way that I was told to, as far as lifting, bending, and pulling patients up by myself. And when I was younger, I was able to do those things. And through getting older, I start to have like bad shoulders, and the knees hurt. But I just want to continue. The body hurts sometimes, but my brain is still fresh. And I just want to keep doing some things that are on my bucket list. I remember years ago as a CNA, I was working at UCLA. One of the assistant nurse managers came to me and told me that we wouldn't be able to continue to draw blood, and that you had to be state certified to continue being a phlebotomist. And I didn't listen. And that was always in the back of my head. I want to continue drawing blood. I remember enjoying drawing blood because that was a part of my job description, and I was I was a good employee. It was fun for me just to do what I needed to do, and I was good at drawing blood. So I decided to go to school and get my phlebotomy license, and here I am today I got that license now.
That's awesome. And I should have full disclosure here. Anginette's career coach is actually on the call with us, Francisco Cigaran. And so if he chimes in, don't be surprised, but I know he's very proud of everything that you're doing for your career. So let's talk about why you got into the healthcare profession in the first place. What drew you to it?
I knew at an early age that I wanted to get into healthcare, and I say this because I come from a large family. My mother had 5 boys and 5 girls. So with a large family, we did a lot of grocery shopping, and you would get these blue chip stamps. I don't know if anybody on this Zoom call remember the blue chip stamps. We would get the blue chip stamps when we would shop at the grocery stores. There was a blue chip stamp store that you can go redeem the blue chip stamps. My mother and father would reward us the blue chip stamps for good behavior. So one of my favorite things to get in the blue chip stamp store would be the doctor and nurses kit. Oh my God, I always like to get the doctor and nurses kit, especially a fresh one. My patients were my brothers and sisters. Inside the doctor and nurses kits were the stethoscopes, there were Band-Aids, there were just everything that you would see in a doctor's office, everything that you need. There was even a lab coat. And there was a place on the lab coat that I was either Anginette MD or Anginette RN, whatever role I wanted to play that day. So my brothers and sisters would come into the doctor's office or hospital, wherever I was that day, or whatever role I wanted to play again. And with their different illnesses, there were bloody nose, there were cuts, scrapes, sore throat. Sometimes they would have to be hospitalized. So
I had a
knew,
very vivid imagination, Anginette.
And you know what? This is so fun for me because it's a true story, and it takes me back to when I was a little girl, and that was so fun for me to just have my brothers and sisters together. And I'm the oldest, so I was always the doctor or the nurse, and they didn't mind being my patients. So I knew that at an early age that I wanted to get into healthcare and to help heal people.
That's great. That's great. So you grew up, you went to school, you have 2 associate's degrees. Is that right?
Yeah, I do.
So this is interesting. So you've got 2 associate's degrees, you got your CNA. Why did you land in the CNA spot? Given you have a biology degree, and I can't remember what the other one was.
Associates in science, and I have associates in humanities.
Humanities.
Love education. I always wanted to go to school, and I just didn't follow that path where, okay, you take these classes and this is where you're going to end up. But I did know the classes to take in order to get those degrees. I got the associate's in science degree because I wanted to be an RN. I wanted to be a nurse. And that math just did not
I hear you.
agree with me.
I
I
hear
just
you.
couldn't get it. So, but anybody else that, I mean, the people that are listening out there that would like to become a RN, there's a lot of math that it involves, but you can do it. You can do it. I just gave up, and sometimes I wished I would have continued, but here I am. I'm still in the healthcare field, and I'm not done because I never stop learning. It's all about education.
So you stayed and you got the CNA degree and now you're going into phlebotomy, and we're almost going to get there. So how did you, when you first got your CNA certification, how did you land this is the question that we get asked all the time. Without experience, how did you land that very first job?
When Okay, so when my first job in healthcare, I had my CNA. I got my certified nursing assistant certificate when I was in high school. That was in 1978. In the 12th grade, that the CNA course was offered as an elective. I remember being in 11th grade, and I would see this bus with the boys and girls getting on the bus with their scrubs and their hats, their nursing hats. And I just couldn't wait to get on that bus. And plus, they were making money too. They were making a little stipend. And I always wanted to be a nurse. So when I got into the 12th grade, I took the class, I passed the class, I got my certificate, and I've had my CNA certificate for over 40 years. And
So did they
so
place you right out of school? I remember that. We used to call them co-ops or VOTEC and things of that nature.
yeah.
So did
So
they place you right in that first job or wherever you
um
did your externship?
well, some some of the students got placed into the facility. There was one facility that we did our externship. Some of the students got there, but we there was a good job placement, so we knew where to go. There were so many different registries and so many different skilled nursing facilities at that time. There was registries that I applied for that got me into the different big hospitals. I worked at UCLA, the VA hospital, um, Children's Hospital with my CNA, but I just never stayed. I always just moved around. So, and I liked the registry life because I was able to go when I wanted to and where I wanted to go.
Interesting. And then you landed at Cedars-Sinai, and what kept you there for the past 20 some years?
I got to the point. I just felt more at home there. It was such a warm environment. We had a union there, and I could see a lot of the accomplishments and the work that was done by the union. We were able to negotiate our pay. It was a lot of respect that we got just by being union members, and they respect the union. So I'm older now, and I got older. I've been at Cedars almost over 14 years. So I just got to the point where I made that my home for now.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
union does the part of a job for us that that's not what we're trained to do. We are not trained negotiators, right? The union actually provides that ability to do that negotiating for us and allow us to focus on what we do best, which is our job, right? What we're trained to do. I think that's a great benefit. And I'm glad that you called that out. So that's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, it's one of the other things that's really difficult, I've noticed, for most people to do at any level with a vast amount of experience or with very little, is to tell their story. And so we spend an awful lot of time with Futuro Health graduates, helping them articulate their value, which in turn helps them understand how, grows their business acumen. What is the impact of a CNA or an MA or an LVM within the whole ecosystem of the healthcare industry? And your story was really touching, and it has helped us teach other graduates how to think about the impact that they make. So if you would take a minute or two and tell us what that most significant story is.
All right. So my most memorable story, most memorable and significant story was early one morning. I'm at Cedars-Sinai. I had worked a night shift. So it was time for me to give report to my coworker coming in. So at Cedars-Sinai, we give bedside reports. So I went into the patient's room, and I saw that she was sitting on the toilet, and she was slunched over on the toilet with her arm on the rail. And I hollered her name, and I said, ma'am, are you okay? So she was unresponsive, and I called her again, still unresponsive. I called the code because I had noticed that her face had slunched down. Her face was not the same face that I had been seeing for those 2 days, because I had that patient for 2 days. So we did a lot of talking. There was a lot of conversation, and she had been alert and oriented all the time that I had her. So anyway, called the code, and I was so happy that I had went into her room at that time, and because of my purposeful rounding, I was able to save a life, because it was later on I found out that patient had an ischemic stroke, which is a life-threatening disease, and we got her just in the nick of time. So I was able to save a life. And for that accomplishment, Cedars gave me a nice monetary amount of money, and they gave me, so I became a safety star. I was a safety star, and they gave me free parking for a couple of months. So it was really nice, but it was just me just being there at the right time. I had 8 other patients that time. I could have went into any room to start giving a report, but I was in her room at the right time. That's to great. Save a life. Yeah.
That's a kind of story that, is that typical for CNAs, or is that a rare find?
It's typical for a CNA to be that person who spends more time with the patients, because I believe we spend more time, not I believe, I know that we spend more time with the patients than the nurses or the doctors. And it depends on the patient, what they're there for. Sometimes the nurses are in there more than us, and I find in my shift, I'm with my patients all day. I work 12-hour shifts, and so we round on our patients every 2 hours. And there are some patients that I'm more comfortable with, or they're more comfortable with me, and we just have a conversation. So a lot of times at work, I enjoy being at work because I'm like a social bee, and I just enjoy speaking to my patients and allowing them to share things with me too.
So it's interesting that you say that. Is there anything in any of your training, past or present, current training, that taught you how to be social, that taught you how to interact, that gave you those skills? Or would you say that those are natural skills to you, and you've just honed them over time? How would you help people learn that part of the job?
For me, it's natural and it's learned. They offer classes for all the employees at Cedars to help us to de-escalate situations, or just talk to people. And most of it is, just about being pleasant and having that empathetic ear and treating people the way we want to be treated. So sometimes, people, you see the nurses, or there's some CNAs or just other employees that come into our facility, and they don't have the skills, or the to deal with people that need them, because the people that are coming into the hospital, these are sick people. Sometimes they may not be on their best behaviors with us, but we have to treat them with kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me allow our guests who are watching to please put any comments or questions in your chat. I'll leave about 5 or 6 minutes at the end to answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on talking. So, Anginette, let's talk about that for just a second. This is one of the things that another thing that we've also noticed with our recent graduates from Futuro Health is that they're asking questions like, what should I be prepared to encounter? What kinds of challenges will I have when I start my first job? How can I prevent those challenges from happening? So it's the element of surprise that gets, I mean, aside from going through the interview process, which for many graduates is just, nerve-wracking, it's also scary for them to start day one. So what kinds of challenges have you encountered, and what would you say to new graduates, to prevent some of those challenges or make it easier for them to integrate into a new organization?
Challenges. Wow. You face challenges at work every day. One of the challenges that I face, excuse me, are the long shifts. I work 12-hour shifts, and sometimes 4 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week. So within a pay period of 2 weeks, I work 7 days a week, sometimes more. The long shifts, some days, there's been some times where I worked 16 hours in a day. Yeah, that's like 12 plus 4. Another challenge would be patients who refuse to ask for a help. And I have an example. I have a patient, and this is a lot of the patient population. They come in, and a lot of these patients are on medication, and they are there because they have been unsteady. So we have to put the bed alarm on these patients' beds so that we can know that they're getting up, and we put a wristband on them to say fall precaution. And so a lot of times the patients don't like to call because they say, I'm okay, but I have to let them know that I am here to make sure you're okay. I don't want you to fall. So I just have to let the patients know that the reason why we have the bed alarm on, the reason why we put these precautions on them is just to make sure that they're safe. We don't want them to fall or anything. Yeah. And
Let's go.
another, yeah.
Go another one. Okay.
Is that another one? Oh,
No, go ahead. Is there another one?
yeah. So that, I guess that would be a part of the difficult patients. Sometimes we have those patients who are like, yeah, they can be really difficult. Here's another patient. She came in with abdominal pain. So most of the time we get the patients who come in with abdominal pains. We put them on a diet. The diet orders MPO. That means they can have anything by mouth. So my patient tells me the other day, she's like, I'm feeling a little bit better, Anginette. So I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a couple of days. And I let her know that your diet order says your MPO, you can't have anything by mouth, but I need to eat right now because I think that I'm getting weaker from eating. So you have to explain to these patients the reason that you can't have anything to drink, it is because, and I had to explain to her, because there's some tests that you'll be having to take, and there's some scans that are ordered for you, and in order for them to get a good image of the scan, you have to not have anything in your system. And sometimes you get the patients that don't want to hear what you have to say, and I have reinforcement. I have my charge nurse there to help me. I have my the primary nurse to help me, and they are always there to help.
So if I'm a new graduate, the two things I'm going to take away from this are to make sure I've got the stamina to hang out for 12 hours plus, and to understand what that environment is like before I go into it. And then the second part is, aside from experience, it's understanding what the protocols are so that you can explain versus tell the patient in order to get their buy-in. And when you can't make that happen, you've got backup. You've got a charge nurse, you've got the primary nurse, you've got physicians and everything else. I think that's great advice. I think that's great advice. And you don't learn over these things overnight, Anginette. You've been doing this for a couple of days. So
Oh yeah.
we actually have only 4 minutes left, and I do want to get this last question in, and because I think it's a very important one. Networking. One of the things I've noticed is that this industry and healthcare, that unless you are in certain roles, there's a lot of networking that's obvious. How do you stay connected? Social media, on the floor, in your organization, how do you stay connected with your group, right? With people who work in those roles.
All right. I love social media. I love my LinkedIn. I love my Indeed. I stay on. I get notifications. I check them, and with my social media, I share updates about my professional life. It's a great platform. I discover new ideas. I find out what's trending in healthcare. And there has been times where I have connected with new people. I've gotten a couple of jobs off of from social media, LinkedIn, and I believe, and Indeed. And I have ran into a couple of old connects. I connected with a couple of old friends that I haven't seen on social media. But social media is a wonderful platform for anyone getting into healthcare to be a part of, and to network. It's a good network. Networking place.
We've got two questions here that are going to take us beyond our time. So what I'm going to do is I will when I share this, I will ask those questions, and you can respond to them. And then when we send out the link, we'll have the answers to those who just asked them. Sorry about that, folks. Last question is, how do people get in touch with you? So, you're a wealth of information, and you're motivational, and you're inspirational. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you after this?
I am on LinkedIn under Anginette Morgan and Indeed. And Lee, you can put my email in the link.
You got it.
You can contact me anytime. I would love to speak to you if you would love to speak to me.
I love it. All right. And so I want to thank everybody for joining today. This is our very first career management broadcast featuring Anginette Morgan. I want to thank you very much, Anginette, for the work that you do, for the choices that you've made, for the life that you save, for the lives that you've even made more comfortable because of your support. And I'd like to thank all of those in the union and Futuro Health for also supporting the graduates, getting them educated, working very hard to reduce poverty and increase communities' wealth and capacity to grow in their own lives and careers. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.
Thanks, Anginette.
Thank you.